Welcome to the Breakthrough the Ordinary podcast. Are you ready to commit to your future self? If you are, sibling duo Marc and Claudine Chiarmonte will take you on a journey of self-discovery to unlock your highest potential. Through impactful conversations with entrepreneurs, thought leaders, coaches, and healers, we are here to share practical tools and wisdom to generate the life you envision. New episodes drop every Monday.
And we get to welcome Alisa Levine. Alisa, right? Am I saying that right? A tantric Ayurvedic lineage holder and a founder of Shakti Diva Products. She's a Shakti Path Master, an ordained minister, a guru-tress, a priestess, a yoga instructor in Vinyasa, and a tantric Kundalini. She's also an Ayurvedic doctor, and she brought it all together to create Shakti Diva Ayurvedic Products. You were born in Guyana.
No.
Your mother was born in Guyana, and your father was Irish-Italian descent. You have medicine in your blood. Her great-grandmother is of an Indian Pandit, which you're going to explain to us later. You follow an Ayurvedic lifestyle since childhood and practiced ancient Tantra yoga from very young age. Your grandfather knew the alignment of the stars according to Vedic astrology, and you help reawaken the world with your ancient energetic healing abilities. Welcome.
Yeah.
There's much more to you, too, and that'll be in the show notes, but welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I'm honored.
So am I. There's beautiful lineage here that if you could bring that to life for our listeners and for me, and what it means, this lineage of medicine, and if you could share that with us.
Yes, my great grandfather, who we would say Nana, was Indian, and he was kind of like a gypsy. He traveled all throughout India, searching for knowledge. And, he ran across like Ramakrishna, him and him were buddies, and, he had several gurus and so forth. But he wanted more, right? And he felt that there was this Brahmin kind of like caste system going on, and that it was only catered to men. Right. So, like women weren't allowed to go into the temples if they were having their administration and blase. But like he had a wife and she was also very spiritual. And then he ended up having daughters. So, he was very fond of the feminine, So anyway, he decided to take his own stuff, his, what he read from, the tantras and the satras and so forth. And what he noticed was that there was a matriarchy before. And one of the reasons why the masculine or the patriarchy system started to take over, because when the feminine had this tantra, there was just like sex everywhere and, sacrificing everywhere. And it was a little bit of a madness, So it's like two extremes, because then the patriarchy takes it over, and that also happened. So it's about this, non-duality, finding this middle ground, and, having this intertwinement of both masculine and feminine. We do have a right side of the brain and the left side of the brain. So how do we merge that? How do we have this oneness? This oneness has to start within before we can actually see it, or project it, I mean, I went completely like all over the place.
Oh, that's good. Don't worry.
No.
This is free form here.
I appreciate that. And I agree. So culturally, if we could set the distinction of Tantra, because I believe in our Western culture, it has a representation that I don't think is of its wholeness. It's been very, put into a category. So could you even explain Tantra in that way?
What Americans are teaching that is Tantra is actually Kama Sutra. So that is one text. And I think why it got disfumbulated is because in Tantra, the last stages of your evolvement does involve sex practices. So I can see where it can kind of, but that's just like at the very, I wouldn't say end, because, as this universe is ever evolving, so are we, so are the scriptures and so forth. So there's really no like, oh yes, because even when you think you've become that, oh yes, there's still something more that we want and learn and blah, blah, blah. So there's never that, but yes, I think that's where, and then like the goddess worship, women wanting to, embrace their feminine or know this feminine because of this masculine way of living. I got to get paid. I got to get mine, this kind of thing. Because of the goddess worship of Tantra, I think maybe that's where, because in Kama Sutra, it's also this worship, but it's not just one way. It's worshiping both the masculine and the feminine. So I don't, that's how I have understood it, or what I'm comprehending by studying it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So you talk about mudras and all kinds of stuff. So what is the ancient lineage you're coming from? What maybe you could explain for our listeners, because I don't think everybody knows what mudras. I mean, I might, or I don't even know if my sister does, but mudras and all those yadras, and can you explain some of them just to give basic information for people to understand, these words that were.
So you know how they have sacred geometry? Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that is a yantra. But these yantras are ancient yantras, so they definitely have depth to them. I mean, I'm looking at one over there, but if I get it, then
go ahead. You can go get it. It'll be wonderful.
So like there's different, hold on.
This is great. We get so anybody who's watching this by video can actually see pictures of it. So I'd recommend you can see a yantra.
So this is Sri Vidya yantra. And there's different stages of our like evolvement, and there's also different goddesses and gods within that. But these are all energies, right? And this is like the whole of the person. This is also the chakra system. So, at the bottom is Muladhara, so forth. But this is like us evolving kind of thing. To make it very simple. I mean, it's really technical stuff. But mudras are basically hand yoga. So this is lotus mudra. This is a yoni mudra. So you when you're doing mantras, which is like japa, like Om Shri Mahalakshmiye Namaha, right? So you can use this mudra towards a yantra or whatever, even a person. Say you're about to have a sacred union with someone. There's this whole mudra thing that we do in front of each other as we recite japa, a particular mantra. And sometimes we do have this yantra in front of us. So that is the merging of both before, like this whole worship that you do to one another before you actually take part in union.
Much more sacred than nowadays.
Yeah.
Bang, bang. Thank you, ma'am. Okay.
Wow. I had no idea.
But you could also apply, yantra, mudra, mantra to your own individual practice. So, I had that retreat and we had about 9 women, and we had in front of our yantras, I taught them a mudra sequence, which is initiating and embodying this energy of this Tripura Sundari, which is a sensual goddess. And through that embodiment of that, we ended up throwing milk on our yonis to the yantra. So this embodying this energy, using this vehicle as a tool. We are gods and goddesses in bodies.
Yes.
I love it.
How do you pay homage in ritual and in daily practices, to continue that embodiment for yourself, or could you even recommend to our listeners?
Well, I got to tell you, with 2 small kids, it's kind of hard. But I try to keep it up as much as possible. I do modernize it, where we include like baths in our product line and so forth. So it becomes a way of like bringing, because, a lot of times, I don't know, I found it so strange, but like some women do not take the time to actually lotion their skin. And I find this to be so, with a lot of American women, even like raising their kids, like when I bathe my kids, I, oil them before they take a bath. And then when they come out, I kind of massage them. Like, that's just like how we do, and this practice is not done, at all. And I'm like, wow. And even one of my Indian girlfriends, she came over the other day and she was like, so what do? You just use the body, the body butter. And I was like, no, you're supposed to like oil your skin. And this is Ayurveda. You're supposed to oil your skin, dry, scrub it, and then shower so that these oils and the medicine from these herbs can come into your skin, into your essence, into your being. And while you're doing that, you're reciting mantra. So anyway, to make a long story short, she was like, well, her mom, being raised here, and I guess this is where my lineage comes in because we kept it up, she just takes her shower and then she'll do like a little body lotion, but yeah, I went completely,
Not at all.
No.
We like this.
Well,
no, we're enjoying
this is a
this
daily
therapy.
practice, though. So I'm hearing that you're embodying it by also embodying it with your children. I mean, it's right.
Well, yeah. I mean, we should, because from young, like, and one of the things that I also gathered from this retreat is that, daughters, like my girl, she's only going to be 4 next week, and she was with me. She insisted on coming, and I was like, oh, I don't know, there's going to be some nudity, da da da. She was completely okay. She was cracking jokes with it. Everyone loved her. But then I was like, wow, you know what? This should be part of it too. Like, these little girls should start learning these types of practices, learning that there are predators out there. And, how am I going to own myself, and just be solid, and also embody these, how to take care of myself from the inside out,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm hearing sensual, not sexual, because like there's nothing wrong with sensual, like rubbing your children. There's this loving touch and feel, and that is missing. It's missing for boys on what they learn, the feminine.
I do it with my son too. I mean, he's getting a little bigger where he's like, oh, mom, I don't know, it feels a little weird. I was like, okay, well, then you do it for yourself,
What a way to also have them understand the honoring of their temple at an early age. So, right. And it's a different message. I feel like in an American society, we also have a message of, I would say shame, right? We don't encourage it. And then we leave space for so many other stories for kids to make up.
Yes. And porn and, just every way that's not so. So I have a 24-year-old, and he was also brought up in these practices. And right now he's in Florida, and he's doing very well. He has a fiance, and the way he treats her, I have to say that I'm like, wow, I'm very happy. I've known I've done a good job, because the difference between him and other kids his age or young men his age, complete difference. And I really believe it's because of these practices. We went out to eat, he's feeding her, she's feeding him. They weren't afraid to show their love, and I'm filming it. I'm like, yeah.
I did this.
Kissy kissies, kissy kissies. I'm like, kissy kissies. And he's like, Mom, I'm like, no, kissy kissy.
I think I'm going to go back a little. Because you had this in the family, and then you had your own journey to discover, and I know a lot of it. We're not going to go into all of it now. I mean, if you want to share pieces, you can. But you had this in your lineage. You had to go through your whole journey of whatever. How did you come back? Like, what drew you back in?
Okay. All right. So, obviously, growing up, I'm mixed. I'm Indian, I'm Italian, Irish. Most dominant Italian on the father's side. So it's like, It's like, oh, this is hocus pocus. Don't bother with your mother. She's crazy kind of thing. And I'm like, okay, growing up, they're like, oh, you have this ability. You're supposed to be doing this. It's written for you this way because we have the Vedic astrology, and that your great grandfather said that you're supposed to be a priestess kind of thing. Okay. So at first, as a young girl, I'm like, reading people their future, they're coming to me, and there was like this lot of, and they also do this thing where they honor you, so like I'm like the little goddess, and they're like doing all their arty and, giving flowers and honoring me. So I'm like, so anyway, this goes on. I start thinking they're crazy, so forth. I'm all Italian. How you doing? Yeah. I've taken on that mask, that identity, and I completely rebelled, got into so much trouble. Did so many things, craziness. But it was all tapped into the dark feminine, right? Anyway, I kind of hit, I guess, I wouldn't say rock bottom, but I knew that if I didn't stop what I was doing, I was probably going to have an overdose or die or something. And these 3 light beings, and I wasn't drugged up to say that it was drug infused, but these 3 light beings came towards me, and they were telling me about the whole body system, how there's chakras residing in the body, how our bodies are even multidimensional as the world is, and so forth. And and I'm just like, excuse my French, I don't know if you could bleep that out. But, so then I'm like, okay. So they were like, it's time. You need to I know this sounds so new age, but it was like, you need to wake up and you need to start doing what you were here to do. Like, kind of stop messing around. So next thing you know, I'm opening up a yoga studio. Don't know how it happened. It just happened, landed on my feet. I'm in Harlem. I'm teaching people yoga, but I was yoga certified, so forth. Even though I knew because of the family, it just started playing out, what was aligned for me kind of thing. So it was written in so many ways.
As you continue to step into it.
As I continue to step into it, it's never, ever, it's always evolving, right?
Yeah. From this space of the priestess, and I also saw in your bio, right, this relationship coach, and when we merge that, I'm curious, I'm also a coach, how do you use these traditions in I'm going to say bringing union or connection, intimacy in a relationship from a coaching perspective? I'm curious.
Well, I think they know when they're coming here, they're getting a little woo-woo, so they're not looking for like a straight up relationship coach. Yeah. They know they're gonna get some feathers and smoking out, clearing their energies and so forth.
It's okay. The cutie can come in. Go ahead.
So I think, I get a little saved for that, but, so they know they're coming here and it's going to be a spiritual journey, not just, modern relationship coaching. It's going to be the cleansing, which I think I said multiple times, of, their energies. And then there's going to be their shadow work, individually and in the relationship. Mm-hmm. So, we're going to dive in really deep, even it could be past life, shadows.
Okay. Yeah. And in that exploratory work, because that is some deep work, do you also, as you called it, the woo-woo, will you use the mudras, the products, the breath, as a way of also creating the connect? Okay.
Yes, absolutely. Wow. It all applies, everything is breath, through the breath, is the mantra, is the yantra, is the mudra. Yeah. And all of that, that whole cleansing, and then also, shooting that energy to the individual that you're about to have union with, and vice versa. So you're building this, this Kundalini energy, and then you're bringing that to your partner and then bringing it into you. So you're bringing your partner into you, kind of thing. It does make it really, really sacred. And I mean, there's a connection, an intertwinedness that I haven't seen with any of this neo Tantra, you know?
Just so you know, everybody, if you're not watching this, her beautiful daughter is sitting in her lap. It is adorable. She's adorable. So when you hear
Thank
little
you.
noises or whatever, you know, it's so cute. Adds another dimension. I just lost my train of thought thinking of that. So you brought up Kundalini. So for listeners, first of all, explain Kundalini, and then maybe some ways that they can start cultivating. Because I know for some people it's not easy to cultivate Kundalini. I never found it easy. It took me, it takes me a lot. So maybe explain what it is, and then some things that people can start at least practicing, or how to look into it, what they can do to look into it a little more.
Mm-hmm. So Kundalini Shakti is Ma that is sitting at the base of the spine. So it's a serpent, the goddess serpent, and she's at the base of the spine, just kind of like chilling, hanging out there, and she's waiting to be awakened. And basically there's many practices that you can do, and you can definitely blend, Muladhara mantra as well as yantra and mudra and so forth. But there's also movement, there is this, because it's so stagnant, an easy way of doing it is definitely connecting to earth, going outside, walking bare feet, stomping, but also sitting there and just kind of like moving your pelvic bone, back and forth, and then maybe start to circle, around, but on the ground,
Mm-hmm.
and, and you could even just ask permission from her, to rise gently. You don't want her to rise automatically to Shiva, which is at your third eye, to have union on your crown right away, because, they claim that you could go mad. I just see body compulsing and so forth. But you can ask her, to rise gently, You can also look in the mirror so that you could have a soul connection with yourself. It'd be nice to have it outside, but inside is good too. And just do that same movement. You could add breath to that. A lot of people want to add in this Kundalini Bhajan breath with the, like the Kalari Bhati, which is like fire breath. I think that's a little too harsh. I like gentleness. I like things that are pleasurable. So, just a really slow inhale. So you want her to rise gently, Yeah.
I like that.
Yes, swaying the hips, having this, you want this to open, opening and closing your legs, these kind of movements will help. And also with the breath, obviously.
Yeah, I want to just say I want to say for our listeners, because some are going to watch this and some aren't. She's doing it in a way that's very sensual and purposeful. It's not just flinging your legs open and your movement and your breath. It's very, I think it is anyway. But so just so everybody knows, you want to do this in a very purposeful, rhythmic. Yeah, there was a very rhythmic, sensual kind of way of doing it. So I just wanted to.
You could breathe, in. You can actually breathe in and bring your legs in, and then you breathe out very slow and sensual. You could even do the. You can even do the snake. Yeah. So it's in, the legs come together, and then when you breathe out, they open. I feel it. I mean, it doesn't take much. I feel it.
So I've heard of Kundalini Yoga. So is that also in practice? So what you're doing? I've not very.
It is called Tantra Yoga. Yogi Bhajan did take some practices and did apply it, and he is calling it, but it's not, because, in Sikhism, I don't know if that's the proper word of using it, but they don't do yoga. Like, they do not believe in yoga. So he like really discombobulated a lot of stuff in his teachings, and a lot of the stuff he actually made up himself.
Good. Yeah. Thank you for clarifying.
Didn't take the lineages. So you have this Ayurvedic products. Do you want to share about those products and what you do? And I mean, we'll certainly put it in the show notes, but maybe share a little about your products and or what you do with them, or what you infuse in them.
Mm-hmm. So definitely they're infused with Ayurvedic herbs, but they're also infused with holistic herbs. So I've mixed my cultures. I mixed, Indian and, Western, herbs into these oils and into these body butters and hair products and so forth. And they're all catered to your dosha, depending on if you're Pitta, Vata, Kapha, or combination. And this could be like your skin. Like, so Pitta is dry. Vata is dry. Pitta could be, little breakouts. Kapha is completely, oily skin, thick hair, so forth. Again, some people have combination, but they're catered to that. Eventually, I want to open up a storefront. And when I say storefront, a sanctuary is really what I want. Where the products are in the front, people can come in and get diagnosed and then have custom-made products that are catered to them. And in the back, Ayurvedic services. And on the side, or, a floor, where we can have practices, either it be Tantra, Kama Sutra, any of it, where people can gather, like-minded people. Yeah. So kind of a bigger version of my yoga studio.
Oh, you also have, I didn't know that you also have a yoga studio.
No, I did. Oh, okay. I did. Wow. Before I moved to Jersey. Yeah.
Jersey. So
yeah, it's Jersey.
Love it.
How you do it?
We're using words because we're aware. Again, I want to just put context for our listeners. I've heard the word Ayurvedic said several times. So can we just define that for our listeners who may not know?
So Ayurveda is a 5,000-year-old practice. And it involves mind, body, and soul. And it's a sister to Tantra. It's a sister to yoga, so it kind of all intertwines with each other. But it's about, what you're eating, what you're putting into your body, catered, like we all have, like I'm Pitta Vata. So in the winter, I have to eat more oily, warm foods so that I don't feel cold and my skin is not dried and so forth, and that I can actually release the food nicely rather than, straining and so forth. During the summer, I become more Pitta. I can get like things like this on my head, which is taking me, I have like, so that people that are not viewing, I have, what is this called again? So I have like a dark spot from the sun, and this happened during pregnancy, but now I'm starting to fade it more. I'm paying more mind to it. So I'm using like turmeric and lime juice, and it's slowly coming back. Like this was 3 lines here. You could see it breaking up. But so, the sun is really not good for me because I'm Pitta, and it makes me angry. I don't want to sweat. I also have my congenital heart disease. So, I have to eat more watery foods then. Watermelon, a cucumber, lots of water. So, these really watery substance foods. So that is Ayurveda. And it also is an alignment. How are we living in alignment with the earth? What time are we waking up? What time are we going to bed? Our peak hours are from like 12 noon to about 2 o'clock. And that's when we should get most of our work done. That's where we're burning most of the energy. We shouldn't eat food after 6 because, we're not able to burn it the way that we should, because the body has to now fight harder to burn the food. So then it's storing toxins. So that's Ayurveda. Yeah.
I appreciate that. It's a much more holistic answer than commonly shared in conversations.
Right.
I appreciate that.
So it becomes kind of masculine because it's like this whole schedule, okay, I have to wake up this time. I want to do yoga between this time, but it helps because then at the end of the day, you could surrender into your feminine,
Oh, I like to harmonize.
Surrender into the feminine.
Ah.
Maybe you could share a little about the feminine and masculine.
What would you like me to share?
Just how you see it, or how you see it in the world, or how you think it should operate in relationship or in people.
I think that, like I've always said, I think we need to find a balance. I think we need to find that balance within, and that way it can be in our Maya. It could be in our matrix, and this balance has to be with each individual, so I don't think it's like, oh, because you have a masculine body, you're masculine, and because I have a feminine body, I'm feminine. That's not the case. We are both Shiva Shakti, and we need to find, the times that we need to play in our masculine, and the times that, like we just said, we can surrender into our feminine and have that play. Or how can we do both at the same time? How can, have that intertwined dance of Shiva Shakti going on at all times, where we are being productive, but we're also being playful? Where is it? How is it fun?
I'm going to say on a personal level, I find that harmonizing to be still a place of discovery for me, right? The generating of doing, which I feel, is much more the masculine, the business, and right, the sensuality and sweet sauce of life is in the feminine, in the flow, and for me, it's in my cooking or my gardening.
Well, she's also chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah, she is.
So, that's also your feminine. So when you're having, this day and you're trying to, like, okay, so we did kind of like build it up to surrender into your feminine, right? So I can see what you could think, oh, she's just this, so like nice and happy and sexy and so slithery. But she's not that. She's also the chaos of your day. So how do we bring it home for that relaxation to be completely whole? And that is, okay, so we are a conquering species. If we do not feel fulfilled, then we're never going to surrender, right? Into that like play. So, maybe make a list, 3 things I need to accomplish or whatever, and now I'm just like kind of like throwing things, but, and then when you conquer those 3 things, you say, okay, I'm done for the day. The rest from 6 to 8 o'clock is just play.
Well, so you just hit something right here, right? We do a call to action or a challenge for our listeners. And you basically put it right out there. So if our listeners, like, the challenge is to make a list of 3 things you have to accomplish in your day, and then set a time that you're going to have fun. Like, this is amazing for me, for anybody. This is like, I don't know what you think, Claude, but I think it's perfect. So the call to action or challenge you just listed is for this week or for a day or every once a week, whatever. You make a list of 3 things you're going to accomplish during the day, and then you're going to set the time before the day starts or at the beginning of the day. This time is going to be for play. And really intentionalize, because we live a life like play is like over here somewhere.
Yeah, when we have leftovers, get to play.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, and it's so draining.
It is.
It's so draining.
And I would encourage our listeners to go to the PTO podcast on Facebook to share what they learn from themselves. Because I think the other part is giving us the permission, We have to give it to ourselves. The permission for that play too, as an ongoing part, right? I often see posts nowadays talking about like, rest is actually doing something, but that is not our society, because we go like, hey, how are you? What do you do for a living? Like we're always about that. That's going to be our identifier.
Right. That's one of our masks.
Yeah.
It's only one mask.
It's one mask, right? And but somehow that is our intro in this society versus, so how do you be?
It's so funny because right now we're, going through Navratri, which is like the goddess and her 9 faces, you could say mask, right? Her 9 different forms. And it's also like our evolution, like, like our 9 stages of evolving, but she's so funny. So, but it's that, like, we have to put on so many masks depending. I could barely see you, by the way.
Oh,
the quality.
There you are.
Sorry.
No, there you are.
Come back.
So, we have to, apply so many different masks depending on who we're, having this back and forth energy swap with, and it's like, when can we just take off the mask and be like our true self, right? But it's during play,
Yeah, definitely is.
So let's play.
Yeah, always.
All right. So before we get into our fast fire questions, do you want to leave us with some? You've given a lot of wisdom. I feel like we could talk about this stuff for hours, but some
me too.
Final wisdom or ideas or whatever, tools, whatever you want to share.
If anyone has not experienced Ayurveda, I do, like, if you can find a spa or somewhere like that. Claudine, right?
Yes.
I would advise. There is 2 actually, and I can text them to you because I don't remember their names, or I would give it to everybody and you could just mention it in your Facebook. But to experience that, because it is a mind, body, soul, and you could get on a regimen. They could have, if you were with me, I would check your pulse and tell you what your dosa is and so forth. And maybe we can do that. But to get on that food, like, these are the foods that I should be eating, and from there, like, heal yourself from the inside out, and then have the practices. Like, there's this third eye oil treatment, and this oil just kind of just drips on your head, right? Slowly, slowly, slowly. And when you come out of it, you feel so woke. So even that is a relaxation. How do we relax, right? Is what you were asking. That is a way of relaxing, is just having these little drops. I've even tried it like in the bath. I've laid down and I've just had the water dripping. So this is what it looks like when the oil is on it. You see that thing swinging? So the oil kind of just drips, 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 drips. And it's funny because if we wanted to get a little, like, Kama Sutra-ish, when the man is coming, he could also do that to your third eye, but drip, drip, drip. But so anyway, you should experience that just, going to a place like that, a Himalayan salt cave even too. Have you tried that?
Yeah. Yes. And salt rooms. It's beautiful.
Yeah. And have you tried the salt float?
I have not. Tried the salt float.
Okay. So that's like, because you feel like you're in, like, well, where I went, you feel like you're kind of just like floating. It almost feels like you're in the womb, which is very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice place.
I went.
Yeah. No, I really appreciate that. And I'm thinking when you had said the body types, I think the Chopra Center recently had put a post like, what are you? And I never heard of Pitta. I was like, and I was reading it and I was kind of like, and I think he had an assessment, like if you went to the website and I had a malfunction with my email, or my web. And
to me, you look like a kapha. You look like kapha to me.
Okay.
But a little like maybe kapha pitta. I do see like a little pitta, in here and so forth.
I'm very pitta.
Yes.
Oh yeah, you're totally pitta.
I got a pinch of it. but I'm very pitta.
Yeah, you're very pitta.
And for pitta and kapha, can you say what they would be? And because I remember before you were saying like, oh, during a certain time of year you need to, have different foods.
So I think that you could include a lot of spice into your food. Like I think it's important so that you can burn like a lot of stuff that is in the body that's being stagnant. That would help your kapha. So maybe like if you could wake up in the morning and you know how they have that Cheyenne with lemon with a little apple cider vinegar, take a shot of that.
What I do every morning.
All right, I'll try it tomorrow.
But that's
I'll
not. I don't know if that.
A little mint in it.
Yeah. A little mint will be nice. Yeah, so that will kind of just help your body to like detox. Now in the summer, you could definitely do more watery foods. Watermelon, cucumber, water.
She loves the watermelon.
Lemon in the water. Me too. I love watermelon. But yeah, we could totally get into that more at another time. I would love to speak with you.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Appreciate it. And another way of detox and getting in touch. Yeah, right. Bringing the alignment.
Yes. A lot of this stuff is from the inside out, and that includes our healing. When we heal the body, we also heal the mind. And a lot of codes are also stored in the body, stored in the root chakra, in the sacral chakra. And a lot of these kind of practices, especially with Ayurveda and detoxing it, like there's this herb called manajista. It's really good to take because it clears all your lymph nodes and, like your liver and stuff like that. And we store these traumas in these parts of our bodies. So there's like, Ayurveda is really good for that.
Thank you.
So for the product, you're very welcome. For the product, Shakti Diva, we do have a chakra box that we give, a chakra subscription box that we mail out every month to our subscribers. And that includes like a body butter, a body oil, a body soap. And then we include our tantric practices, a Kama Sutra move, and so forth. And it's all intertwined in a self-care practice where it becomes, our body. So embodying.
Yeah. Wow. That's great. I like the idea.
I just want to throw that in because you asked me about the product, and
great.
I went completely other.
It's okay.
Started talking about something else.
All this stuff is interesting, so it's all great.
So as we move into the fast fire questions, it is really what comes up to you in a quick response. So the first one I will ask you, how do you define God?
I think we are God, and God is playing through us, having multiple experiences. I believe that God is a masochist and a sadist.
All of it. The dark and the light.
Exactly. I don't believe there's like a God and the devil. I believe they're one. I mean, because you got yin and yang, Shiva, Shakti. I mean, it's kind of, and I believe that we play with these energies. I believe we play with our darkness and we play with our light. And to say that we're just one or the other is just completely wrong.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
What do you think your superpowers are?
Oh, geez. My superpower. I have no idea.
Take that answer.
Mm-hmm. What do you want your legacy to be?
Oh, I want to have the place of the sanctuary where people can come. I want to have I guess you could say a Chopra center, but Shakti Diva style, where it's more open. I've noticed that the Chopra center has lost a lot of its how do you say authenticity? I'm sorry, Deepak.
Can I ask you? I like this question for you. What makes you feel the most vulnerable, and how do you handle that?
Oh my gosh! So I'm having a hard time being seen. Even this, like having this interview, just puts like a swirl in my stomach. It really makes me come out of my skin. It's vulnerable.
Yeah, you did a beautiful job.
So I'm still working on being seen. Yeah.
Understood.
Yeah.
And your 2 favorite books. If there were 2 books that are on your reading list that are a must, what would you suggest?
Oof.
What do you?
Shakti Rising was a really good one. Oh, and you know who else just came out with a really great one? The Radical Awakening by Dr. Shafali.
Oh, yeah. I'm listening to audiobooks.
Well, I can understand from a lineage point of view, too, how that, I mean, it's a gorgeous book, but also her story is rooted in some of the traditions.
Gave me chills. Yeah.
She's good.
Yeah.
She's intense.
She's so good. So good. I love it. And I love the tension.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Thank you.
Yeah, I want to thank you for sharing. It was easy. I feel like we could go on for hours with this and just, delve in all these little crevices because you have a lot of knowledge and the way you present it is.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you saying that. And honestly, I could go back and forth with you too. I mean, anytime we do speak, it is this back and forth, and I gain so much, speaking with you as well. I mean, you've been a little bit more quiet this time, but, You're
bringing the information, not us. So.
Yes. And I heard you say before, so there's also the opportunity to work with you in a group setting. You had mentioned the retreats. So we'll also share that. But is that something that's an ongoing basis, or they need to go to your website?
Yeah, I do. They should go to the website because I do want to have them by season. But I am very much playing the feminine, allowing it to flow. So there's no set thing,
Okay.
But I am doing some couple. For some reason, that's been landing on my lap lately. So I'm saying, okay, Ma, that's what you want. I'll do it for now, So, and at the moment, I'm doing couple sessions as well, and private sessions with the women. With women. And I think maybe by February, March, I might do another retreat, but I'm looking for somewhere warm, maybe Costa Rica or Bali, or maybe even India if India's healed completely. 1 second. So that it's a little warmer so people that are here in the States can, go somewhere a little,
Sure.
Maybe even Florida. Yeah.
Happy to host you down there.
Keep me abreast of that.
Yeah, we'd be happy to host you.
Yeah, the whole family's in Florida.
Okay.
You could just
yes, I would love that actually.
Yeah, great.
I've been dying to meet your mom.
They're all in healers, and they're all doing transformational and.
Yes. And our mother is quite, someday we may have her on this show. She's a dynamo at 82 and now a cancer survivor.
God bless her.
Yeah, she is full of energy.
Fire.
Fire. So
I remember she's like an Aquarius.
Yes.
So I'm like, So am I. So I can relate to her a lot.
Ooh, yes. There it is. Okay,
yeah. She misses her movement, right? Mom, one of her health care processes is, besides weightlifting to every TV show, is dancing. And COVID has been a really shift in her body movement, and has felt it not just in her muscular, but her body has shifted. And she's so happy to get out a little now. Like maybe they can go once a week. She was dancing 3-4 days a week, right? And that was part of her breath.
Oh man.
Yeah, she's amazing.
She is amazing.
Yeah. But thank you for sharing your medicine tonight with us. Yeah.
Thank you. It was so very nice meeting you. And Shriman Jai Namaha.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Should I just hang up?
We're going to do a little piece and we'll thank everyone. And so, thank you for listening to the Breakthrough the Ordinary podcast. We hope you enjoyed this episode and our deep dive into the wisdom of Tantra. If you'd like to support the podcast, please leave a rating and share it with others and post on social media. You can catch the latest episodes by following us at the BTO Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Thank you again, and we'll see you next time.